The idiots have been in charge way too long. And that's why you're here. For the podcast you need. All for liberty all the time. Welcome to Liberty Bites Back. With your host, Brandon and Mo.
And then I do want to go over how important it is that we do go back to normalcy. Now, during the Spanish flu, they were yearning for a new normal as well. And do you know what the American people did to get back normalcy? All of the American people did not agree with San Francisco on mandating those masks. We voted for Warren G. Harding because he promised he would allow the people to enter back into normalcy. And back to normalcy we went. We didn't worship the mask mandates of San Francisco, but instead we, the people, were upset and scared of the implications of such law in the 1900s. Where is the outrage today? Where is the courage? The courage of the people. Where is the people shouting for normalcy? Well, many are, but it's not sadly overwhelming. I certainly hope for it to turn so soon. I hope many come out and want the normalcy, because that is what we need. These muzzles and the mask holes who bother the maskless are just infuriating. Exemptions exist, and still you see people getting in people's faces, ignoring their precious edicts of 6 feet distance, mind you. Pulling their masks off to yell at a rape victim, for all they know, to get their mask on. Religious exemptions exist, rape victims are often exempted, and so many medical exemptions exist. In Ohio, the journalists themselves are exempted, along with police officers. There's so many exemptions in many of these areas. And a lot of lawyers in Ohio are stating if you're wearing a mask, you want to, because we have a lot of exemptions, and practically everyone can fall into an exemption here. Now, civil rights law is not forgotten just because an edict has been put into place. That means if it's religious reasons, a business cannot segregate you because you're maskless. Or it is a lawsuit waiting to happen. I see in the next months lawsuits galore going against many corporations and small businesses due to their employees' actions of not respecting laws and instead only focusing on the edicts. Now let's return to normalcy now. Let's return fully back to normalcy, to be honest. Let's get rid of these intolerable edicts of the governors and mayors and councilwomen and councilmen. But let's also get rid of the Intolerable Acts of Congress. There's way more laws that have been happening in the last 2 decades. The Patriot Act, that spying crap, it has to go. The NDAA, allowance of indefinite detention, get rid of it. All of these are worse than the Boston Port Act, the Massachusetts Government Act, the Administration of Justice Act, nor the Quartering Act. These are the 21st century's intolerable acts, and the edicts are clearly intolerable edicts. Who can tolerate any of these? I surely can't. Give me liberty or give me death. The uniting and strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct Terrorism Act of 2001, which is the USA Patriot Act, that ruined the Fourth Amendment and made it void. The Fourth Amendment reads as follows: the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. You know, I woke up when I was 5 years old, and that right was stolen from me. I've often said that my generation had the weird realization when we read 1984. We were seeing it implemented in front of us by our own government. All of our personal information is being stored. We are being watched by all mediums of video cameras connected to the internet. What rights do we have with these laws in place? None! And that's the issue of today's day and age. I've often thought the only way to end 1984 is 1776. And that just may be true. They did try to change it. The USA Freedom Act, uniting and strengthening America by fulfilling rights and ending eavesdropping, dragnet collection, and online monitoring act, was thought to be an answer to these issues, but it doesn't hit all the issues created by the Patriot Act. In 2012, the NDAA in subsections 1021 to 1022 of Title X, Subtitle D, entitled Counterterrorism, authorizes the indefinite military detention of persons the government suspects of involvement in terrorism, including U.S. citizens arrested on American soil. And that took away the Fifth Amendment in habeas corpus. And the Fifth Amendment reads as, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or other infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land of naval forces or in the militia, which in the actual service of time of war or public danger shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for the public use without just compensation. And habeas corpus is a recourse in law challenging the reasons or conditions of a person's confinement under color of law. A petition for habeas corpus is filed with a court that has jurisdiction over the custodian, and if granted, a writ is issued directing the custodian to bring the confined person before the court for examination into those reasons or conditions. Now, basically, it's if you get arrested while being in your rights, you have the right to not be imprisoned, which indefinite detention prevents, and also prevents you any regular courts of law, to the NDAA of 2012. Another intolerable act is the FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Is another intolerable act, and one that our current president, Donald Trump, has seen the horrors of. They approved around 99.97% of all FISA warrants asked for, and yet again our Fourth Amendment is violated. So what do? Well, normalcy is the cure. We must go back to the Republic of the United States with a functioning Constitution, with all our bills of rights intact. If they want to get rid of any, which I'd recommend an amendment on the amendment of the 16th Amendment to bring us back to even more normalcy, and while you're at it, you can also amend the 13th Amendment to get rid of the legalized slavery portion.